everybody, welcome to the patch 2, we'll do that again. Hey everybody, welcome to the patch 13.22 preview part 1. I'm gonna edit that first part out. So in this video, we're gonna be going over the preview of these changes with no actual changes to them. Tomorrow we'll go over the other changes. Why am I doing 2 videos? Because I have nothing better to do with my life. As always, we're going to go over the Riot post, we're going to go over the changes themselves. You can use me as a podcast, you can put me on your second monitor, you can do whatever you want. Listen to me while you're on your phone, okay? That's fine, just make sure to watch. So, up first we have Mage attack speed. Now, I've read through this, so I'll give you my opinion. For a while now, mages have been taking attack speed rune shard. While this is great that players love pushing harassing, it is more indicative of mages' slow attack frames that have become pretty outdated over time and are an unnecessary barrier of entry to their satisfaction, which I think is actually true for the most part. I think most mages actually do have slower attack frames. I can't like go into it. I mean, I guess I could literally load up the game and show you, but most mages have like slow attacks. Personal opinion, that's so that mages can't like just like start an attack, like run real quick into range, start an attack as their opponent is like walking back from CSing, and then get the full auto attack off. Mage attacks that are like really sticky, like Rise's auto attack has always been really sticky in that like you can get way out of range and it won't cancel, right? Attacks like that actually tend to be an issue on mages because in addition to spamming you with abilities, then they sit back in range and spam you with auto attacks. However, to be blunt, I think mages kind of, like, what's the right way to put this? With second wind, Doran shield, so much champion healing, that kind of stuff. Like, if you look way back in the day, like season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? When they had these changes implemented, or I shouldn't say implemented, these changes were kind of needed. Mages needed to have bad auto attacks because they harass too much. That's not really so much relevant these days. There obviously are still some mages who go top lane who need bad auto attacks. Champions like Kennen, Rise, etc. If their auto attacks are too snappy and they can get through the frames way too quickly, that leaves very little counterplay against them. So I'm kind of hoping they don't give every mage good auto attacks, but there's a lot of champions like Brand, even champions like Gragas on his base attacks. Like, it just takes so long to animate the attack that, yeah, they are right and it doesn't feel good. So, I mean, to be blunt, I do think that making mages have actual normal attack frames on their attack and not needing to take the attack speed rune, I think overall that would be a good idea. We're going to be setting these attack speed values to what feels right first, such that mages don't feel required to take the shard and then address any balance fallout after. Personal opinion, that's probably not the best idea. I think that it's going to be pretty obvious which mages are going to benefit the most from this. Kennen, Rise, Cassiopeia, all those mages who already harass and then can use their auto attack to also enhance that harass, those champions are going to be the ones who are going to be overpowered. So I don't know, like, why not just address that now? Because it's going to be pretty obvious, right? Like, any of the mages who go top lane, like, literally pull out your thing, literally just look at Masters Plus. Any of these mages who go top lane, those are the ones, in my opinion, who won't need as much as above. Like, you look at Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia has always been like this really niche champion who always does good top. Like, maybe don't buff her as much. Kale probably has a good attack because she got updated. Maybe don't buff her as much, right? Kennen, champions like Silas even. Yeah, Silas's base attack kind of feels bad, but on this other hand, he kind of, like, Silas CSing poorly is kind of one of the things that balances him. Heimerdinger, once again, you know, I'm just saying, like, literally just look. Any of these champions who are already doing really, really good maybe don't need the better auto attack. As we look in the mid lane, we can see Orianna, Syndra, and Silas. Silas in particular, this is what I'm talking about. Silas is not even a bad champion, okay? Him having that weak auto attack frame, meaning his attack is like slow and weird. When he's not using his passive, that is. When he's using his passive, it's obviously really good. But his normal attack is kind of weird, and it can make him bad at last hitting, and him being bad at last hitting is like one of the only things left that's trying to balance him out. Other than that, he's like pretty overpowered right now. So all I'm saying, right, is it's going to be pretty obvious who's going to be benefiting the most. Kennen, obviously, Rise, Cassiopeia, probably even Azir are going to be benefiting a lot because they tend to use that auto attack a lot. So, you know, we're going to make the change first and balance it later. Like, that just feels lazy to me, and it just feels like you're just kind of using the live environment as a testing realm when, in fact, let's be blunt, it would be better if those champions released a little bit weak and then got tuned up a little bit. It would be better for that than just being like, oops, top lane is screwed over for a patch. Haha, we'll get them next time, guys. We need to be careful about buffering range too much in the early game, especially against melee. Yeah, obviously. And especially if they play top. Yeah, once again, obviously. Like, I like how, okay, to be honest, I actually do appreciate how we've basically managed to bully the shit out of Frankson into acknowledging top lane. Like, we've basically bullied him into constantly talking about top lane in all of his tweets, which is a good thing, mind you, because I never used to talk about top lane. Top lane just used to be like a fallout. It would used to be like I know they're doing these changes and they could potentially screw over top lane, so this is just lip service. But the fact we've gone from like, they literally do not care about top lane and will not give top lane any benefit and will not make any changes at all to help top lane, and now they're at least paying lip service and like they're kind of like scared about the fallout about top lane. Like, this sounds dumb, but in my opinion that is a good thing. Yes, actually I'm gonna make a tweet here. The fact that you guys constantly mention top lane now shows that being really annoying works. Finally, top lane actually gets acknowledged when it suffers the fallout from random changes you guys make. It's just lip service, but it's a start. Okay. What do we got here? We need to be careful about buffing, blah blah blah. If it ends up being quite a lot of power, we'll put back in that area. If it ends up being quite a lot of power, we'll put back in that area. I think they mean they'll take away or something? I don't know. Anyway, there's some mages whose attack frames are intentionally slow. Example, Karthus, Cassiopeia, because they have an auto attack replacement and we want them to use that, so we're not adjusting them as much. Obviously, Cassiopeia, Karthus, oh, that's another one, Karthus. Cassiopeia, Karthus, Azir, Ryze. These champions have abilities they can already use in place of an auto attack to wave clear, so they don't need super amazing auto attacks, right? We've seen in the past that if Ryze is a good auto attack, what he'll frequently do is EQ cancel that into an auto attack and then get free damage, or he'll EU and then cancel that into an auto attack and get free damage, right? Like, the thing is that if you have a really sticky auto attack, then it'll complete the attack, even if you use the ability, then attack, and they get out of range throughout the entire thing, then the auto attack will go off. And champions like that, and especially if we make the auto attacks better, smoother, then these champions will have better harassment opportunities. And let's be honest, it's not like mages aren't like years off dominating top lane. So like, I do think it's a good idea to make mages have good attack frames, but like, you can't just ignore the issue, and you can't just be like, well, mages haven't dominated top in 2 years, guys. Like, you know, it hasn't been that long is what I'm saying. From like season 3 to 10, mages were constantly the best top laners, and you can see this at Worlds. If you look season 3 to 10, constantly, if you looked at Worlds, if you looked at the big thing, it was constantly that the best split pusher, it was like 5 seasons in a row, the best split pusher was Ryze, Vladimir, etc., because mages were just that good, right? And it's only like, for those of you who are new to the game, it's only recently that top lane hasn't been dominated by mages, 1 or 2 mages always being better than the actual bruisers in top lane. Janna's play experience has gotten less and less satisfying over time. I agree. I know what they're about to say here, and I definitely agree. We think a previous version of Janna that was more W-oriented with higher attack range and some more speed was more satisfying for her player. So we're reverting some of our recent changes and moving her back in that direction. I don't know why Riot decided Janna needed to do no damage and just be a Giga Shield bot. It was weird for me because Janna was one of the first champions. If you look back in the day, Janna was one of the first champions that they decided to not make into a Giga heal bot, and they wanted her to like actually be more about like CCing enemies and doing damage, not like a lot of damage, but like having some damage, etc., right? Like sitting back and auto attacking. And for some reason, then Riot like reverted that. In fact, let me pull up that patch right here. This was patch 12.12. So for those of you who've been playing for a while, this was in the beginning of season 12. They totally reverted Janna from being more focused on like damage and stuff, and just made her like, she's just the stun bot. She's just the shield bot, right? Yeah, so what was it? Janna's basic attacks on hit. So basically, Janna's attacks and Zephyr dealt bonus magic damage equal to 20 to 35% of her bonus movement speed. So if Janna auto attacked or if she used her W, it would get a little bit of damage. So like Janna's sitting in the back and kind of being like a battle mage and, you know, just kind of enchanting your ally while landing as many attacks and Zephyrs as she could. That was actually how she got strong. And you can see here they reduced her attack range. They oh god, they reduced her attack range. They removed the on hit, blah 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 blah. And basically it was weird because, like, I don't know what this is. I must have opened a tab on accident by clicking something. Maybe it's one of these, I don't know. It was weird to me because, like, they specifically made this change to Janna to try to push her into more of a battle mage role and away from just like sitting in the back shielding and then ulting her AD carry. And then they went ahead and were like, nah, she should just be a shield bot. And I never really understood it because, like, a lot of times Riot will do these changes where they just massively reduce the skill cap of enchanters for absolutely no reason that I can think of. We've seen this with Yuumi, we saw this with Janna. In fact, we even saw this a bit ago with Lulu, in fact. And I never really understand it. Like, it's like Riot, it's like people make fun of support role for being the least skilled role, and then Riot's like, yeah, but they are. And then they like reduce the skill of the role again, right? Like they push, do they push like interesting tanks? Like, is there a Kosante of the bot lane? No. Why is Seraphine trending? Now that I'm looking at it, why is Seraphine trending? What did you guys do? I kind of want to look at that, but knowing X, it just might be hardcore porn. So yeah, what I've never understood is that, like, they push Nautilus in bot lane. They hard push Nautilus, one of the most basic champions in the game. Maybe that's so people that are autofilled to bot can actually play the game. But, you know, let's be blunt here. Who's the most difficult to play support right now? Thresh, who was made in season 2. So it's been 11 years. The skill cap of bot laners hasn't increased in 11 years. Like, let's be blunt, right? Like when I bust out mid lane, right? When I look at mid lane, you can see a lot of these champions have had either they're new or they've had some adjustments, right? Like you look at Ahri, you look at Zed. These champions have had some adjustments, Katarina, LeBlanc, to try to make them more than just being as boring as they were back in season 2. You look at top lane. Top lane is like an entirely new role since it was in season 2, right? But then when you go look at support, like, let's look at this. Rakan, not really that difficult of a champion. Sorry, Rakan players. I mean, you probably know it's true, though. Nautilus, one of the most basic champions. Senna, an auto attacker from range. With a, I guess she has the root. Thresh, there we go, season 2. Alistar, virtually, as much as he was reworked, he also kind of wasn't. Basically, through all the reworks they've done in Alistar, the ending summation is that his E is now a stun. Instead of a heal, it's now a stun. So now you WQ, then stand next to them, and then you hit them with a stun. So yeah, it's a little bit more complicated, I guess. Rel, Blitzcrank, same as season 2. I guess Pike is new. Karma's more complicated, I'll give you that. Bard, I mean, Bard was what, like season 5, 6 maybe? Like, it's been a while, is what I'm saying. And like, when you compare this to like other roles, like they've gotten more complicated and more interesting, and then support, like the top 3 supports are still like RW, Q, and then auto, then R, and then Senna's just range auto attack. It just feels to me like they constantly play down the skill. So I'm kind of hoping here we go back. Now, I don't even play Janna, right? But it was more interesting for me when Janna was actually like a champion and not just this weird champion that would sit like way back at the end of the lane and be like, hello, 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 I'm gonna shield. Anyway. No actual jungle changes this patch, but changes to champions within the jungle. Post AD ratio reversion to the jungle item, the balance of the role feels like in a good spot, as does its power level. Changes to champions within the jungle. Wow, a nerf to Graves? Who'd have suspected it? Not me. No, sir. A nerf to Briar? Who'd have suspected it? Not me. No, sir. I don't even know, man. Balance outliers. The rest of the champions in this list either benefited directly from 13.20 from scaling, Senna, Cassidy, and Nyla, or are just strong on this patch and need to be tapped down some. Okay, I'll go over the rest of the champions on this list. But for now, let me finish off his post anyway. Brand changes are aimed at adding power to mid and jungle, but not adding any more to the support. Brand doesn't need to be much stronger in support, so changes are targeted mid jungle. Okay, let's look at what changes they're talking about here. Okay, so we have champion buffs at Mundo. Shockingly, Mundo got giga nerfed basically into the ground because he was too good at all ranks. They even added a second nerf at the last second. They added a second nerf onto him, and now even when we go to, let's find Mundo here, even when we go to platinum, right, Mundo is already going negative. When we go to emerald, Mundo is already at negative 47% win rate. When we go diamond, Mundo is at negative 47% win rate. So Mundo is basically only playable at like silver and below right now. And I don't think they really intended Mundo to actually just be an unviable troll pick. Mage attack speed sweep, I've talked about that a lot. Hopefully tomorrow they go over it a bit more. But for now, I'm really hoping that they spend some attention and spend some mind making sure certain champions that go top lane that are technically counting as mages are not getting giga buffed, because that would suck. They're also they're buffing Rammus. Why are they buffing Rammus? Because I haven't even looked at Rammus, so let's look at this together. Ramuski, let's see, 49% at diamond. At platinum, Ramuski. Wow, I can't even find him. How low is he? Am I in jungle? Jungle? There we go. Okay, so basically Rammus is viable up to platinum, but then above platinum, and I'm looking at jungle here, above platinum, it looks like Rammus starts falling down to 49%. How is he doing at all ranks? Is he still overpowered at all ranks? He's still a bit, like, he's his 7th highest win rate. So that's a bit confusing, to be honest. Like, I mean, I guess they want him to be viable at like the Diamond to Masters area, but like the dude is already like the 7th highest win rate at low ranks, right? And he's viable up until, why can't I find it? He's like semi-viable all the way into Emerald. Like, yeah, he falls off pretty hard, I'm assuming, by Diamond, low 49%. But is that really enough to buff him? Like, out of every champion, you're going to buff him? I mean, I guess you just did nerf him, but I don't know. To me, it feels like we're going to be back here again. If they go through this, we'll just be back here in like a month, 2 months from now, tops, where we're like, well, he's 52% win rate at the low rank, so we should probably tone him down, right? Like, you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying, like, look, some champions just have to be overtuned at the low ranks in order to be viable at the high ranks, right? Like, some champions just have to be that way, like Nocturne, right? But you know, you'd think that they wouldn't be deliberately pushing these champions into that sort of balancing. Briar's getting nerfed. Shocking. I know. It's crazy to me. I can't believe it. I can't believe that Briar, of all champions, is being nerfed. That champion who is giga busted as, oh wow, okay, so at all ranks she is literally the highest win rate jungler, and she literally does not fall off into Masters. So that's interesting. Oh yeah, and you can see here she's even giga busted into Emerald. She only really starts falling off in Diamond, and then she only becomes balanced in Masters. So she's basically overpowered at 99% of player base. For 99% of the player base, she's overpowered right now. Yeah, that's probably going to be a nerf. As for Graves, I can tell you exactly what's happening here. Graves is just giga broken. He's just completely busted. He's just completely busted right now. Now remember, Graves is a champion who's typically balanced to like 48, 49% win rate tops. Now he's been overpowered for like 2 years now. So I'm really hoping they give him a real nerf that brings him down, because that champion is really gross. Kassadin, okay, I can actually explain this with Kassadin. Okay, for those of you who don't understand why Kassadin would be nerfed, I went over it in the patch notes. You guys watched the patch notes a bit ago, but basically in 13.15, so a while ago, they buffed the AP ratio on Riftwalk from 0.4 to 0.6, which was kind of insane, because that means that if this champion stacks up his Riftwalk, he's now getting a 1.0 AP ratio nuke repeatedly. So you've probably been hit by Kassadin's Riftwalk, and he basically goes vroom, vroom, and you're dead from full. and it's probably bad for game balance. And if you look up his, let's look at mid lane right now. If you look this up, he's 53% win rate right now, 53.83% win rate right now at Masters Plus. If we go down to Platinum, he's 52%. If we go down to all ranks, Cassin is sitting over here. Where are Cassin at 52%? So Cassin's overpowered at every rank and giga overpowered at the high ranks right now. Now, obviously, win rate isn't everything, so you shouldn't only be using win rate. I'm just using it to try to explain things because it's like, it's the most like visual thing I can kind of show you to explain stuff, right? Like if I say Graves is being nerfed because he's giga overpowered, right? And you guys are like, well, he's only 51%, right? Like it helps to see the 51%. But the thing is, I would actually say Graves is more overpowered than Kassadin right now, completely. Kassadin's like a heavy counter pick who can dominate if he gets ahead and can often just, you know, smash a counter lane completely, right? But Graves is a champion who like Graves is bound to like 48% win rate, and the dude currently has 51% at the highest pick, mind you. So that's kind of nutty, okay? Cassin's just kind of nutty buddy right now. Graves is also kind of nuttier buddier right now, okay? So I just wanted to say here, win rate isn't the end be all, but it also helps you kind of visually understand Kassadin as a counter pick should probably not be doing that amazing all the time. Nyla is being nerfed. I wonder where Nyla even is. I fought Nyla the other day and I thought to myself, wow, this champion's kind of broken. Yeah, that's a bit much, right? Ziggs also appears to be a bit overpowered. The hell's going on here, Riot? Are we nerfing Ziggs? Oh, we are. Okay, fair enough. So I just saw Ziggs right there and I was like, what the hell? So if we look at Diamond Plus to get, because we need a good amount of games played to get good data. Ziggs is still giga busted here, by the way. Like, oh my god, what the hell's going on here, Riot? And then Nyla is still overpowered. Okay, so we can see that's pretty easy to understand. Once again, we can just look at win rate for this. Like, if your win rate is between 49 and 51%, and at least in my opinion, between 49 and 51% win rate, it's like, that's about average, right? So like, you don't immediately need to destroy a champion with nerfs just because they're 51%. Right? Because otherwise you'd be constantly just boom, 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 nerfing champions every patch. Like, and you'd constantly just have champions going up to 51% getting nerfed, and then another champion to go to 51% because a champion that was good into them got nerfed. So then one of their counter picks got nerfed. Now they rise to 51%, then you nerf them, and you just be repeating this cycle over and over again, right? So merely being at 51% is not enough to nerf you, but being 52 to 53% win rate across every rank is a bit much. Being nearly 54% win rate, at that point, win rate alone can tell you this champion probably needs to be nerfed. Now, I've personally played into Nyla, and that champion is extraordinarily overpowered. I accidentally adjusted the volume on my mic, and I hope I put it back to where it used to be. Maybe a little bit higher? I don't know. We'll see. This is definitely a bit too low, I think. Maybe here? No, maybe how long did I put this down? Okay, this might be a bit too high, but we'll see. Okay. Then from Nyla, we have Senna. Now, Senna, you guys probably saw it. When I can tell you personally, playing into Senna, this champion is just giga monster, mega turbo broken. No support that just sits down bot lane and farms up. No support like that should end up out damaging their AD carry, right? And Senna is currently doing that. She is monstrously overtuned. If your bot lane doesn't smash Senna, she scales like so goddamn hard, it's crazy. I've won and lost so many games just because like Senna can sit down bot lane and they don't lose bot lane, and then all of a sudden you have this 700-800 range champion sitting at the edge of team fights, hitting people for 400 damage, hitting people for 800 damage on a crit, and you're just like, what is happening here, right? And she goes, she's got the crit on her passive, she can go Eclipse, she's got that lethality ward sweeper item whose name I always forget. So she's got lethality, she's got percent health damage, she's got giga damage in her autos, she's got that slow, she's got that heal, she's got that root. Like, she has so much utility that, you know, I think in the past they've tried to keep her utility down because she does so much damage, but now she's got like way more utility and way more ability to farm souls because they let her proc her passive so much easier on her abilities. And now it's frequently that we're seeing Senna, even by mid games, getting like 100 souls for that 700 range. At 700 range, it's like you can't really even attack her, so you just have to spend the entire team fight getting shot at by Senna, right? Like, you spend the entire team fight getting shot down by Senna she's just like a flak cannon, just sitting at the end of the night, and you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything, and it's so goddamn overpowered right now. If the opposing team gets Senna and they win bot lane, I know the game is basically done, right? Senna has to lose lane to be balanced, and people will say, oh, we'll just pick Nautilus into her. Sure, if she picks into Nautilus and gets picked, or I should say grabbed and dies, but then even then she has to die like 2 or 3 times to really, so the whole, it's just a problem. It's her Tom Kench, it's Tom Kench support, no actually it's top Kench. Yeah, so if you guys remember, they did Tom Kench, they buffed his passive damage a lot. Now, the problem with Tom Kench, I can tell you this right now, the problem with Tom Kench is that he does really, really, really good when he does really, really good. Do you get that? So if Tom Kench plays into a champion who's not terribly mobile, particularly with how overtuned Ghost is right now, he just goes Ghost and he just shits on you and runs you down and you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about Tom Kench. So they boosted his pass from 3% health scaling to 5%. Since then, and this is another win rate thing here. So this isn't too complicated. He's at like 52% win rate at like every rank, and then Jesus, at the low ranks he goes to high 52%. So 52%, once again, it's like at that edge, like yeah, after 52% you should probably nerf them. There are some champions, Cough, who should probably also be toned down at some point, that they just really haven't. Now, once again, you know, to be blunt, just because you're a high win rate, just because you're a good win rate, doesn't mean we need to instantly nerf you. But once you reach that 52% area, it's like, you know, maybe we should tone you down a bit. Now, Tom Kench, because he's recent, he's kind of like on their radar, right? They're already looking at him. If Camille goes to 52% because of some shifts, they're not paying attention to Camille. Camille's overpowered, like they don't notice it, right? But if Tom Kench goes to 52%, they're paying attention to him because they just changed him. So basically what they want to do, they want to nerf him and bring him back into a position where they can then just kind of forget about him for another 2 years, right? Like they just want him to be balanced. They don't want to have to look back at him. They don't want to have to like bring out the Kench gun and shoot him at some later point. They just want him to be balanced right now. Okay. As for Ziggs, I think we saw a lot of these changes are just win rate related. They're not really like, these aren't really like the most interesting buffs and nerfs because they're just totally win rate related. I don't really need to explain that much, but with Ziggs, I'll try to explain again. Basically, Ziggs was already doing pretty good bot lane. Like he was already a pretty good bot laner. Then Riot decided to buff his Q. Now, what this buff did, I explained this earlier, but basically his Q has an explosion. Let me try to explain this in paint, right? So this is how much his Q will explode and do damage to people, and this is how much it will explode if it's near somebody. So if you throw into a minion wave, right, it'll detect the minion here and then blow up larger. But if you just throw it, it can, even though they're technically in range of the explosion damage, it can technically walk right past them, right? I'm sure if you've been fighting Ziggs, you'll notice if he throws his Q into a minion wave, it can hit you from farther than if he threw it directly at you. Do you get that? So what they did is they made the detection range, they made the range, this red range at which it detects you to then blow up, they made that range bigger. This allows Ziggs to now harass players better who aren't near the minion wave. In return, this makes him much more difficult to lane against. It makes him way more difficult to lane against. How much more difficult? Well, this champion was already seeing a lot of play. He was already having a lot of people, you know, pick him and etc. And then, because the thing is, AD carries generally don't want to play a mage. Generally, AD carry players want to play an AD carry. Now, obviously, you have some AD carriers like Vayne who are just giga busted, who never get nerfed. But generally speaking, people don't want to play a mage. Is Ziggs so broken that he's a must-nerf champion? Maybe not, but I think his win rate is a bit out of line. And then I think the second and probably the more important thing is that I think a lot of AD carry players are probably not even good at playing Ziggs, and I think if they were actually good at playing Ziggs, he would be even stronger. That's just my opinion. I think AD carry players don't really want to play Ziggs. They don't really want to learn Ziggs. So the fact that so many people are just playing Ziggs bot lane now, they're like learning Ziggs, they're learning how to play a mage, they're learning how to do things other than right clicking. And even with that, they're still doing pretty decent. Okay. Now, as for Brand, Janna, and Seraphine. So let's talk about Janna here. Well, actually, we did talk a lot about Janna, but let's talk about Seraphine real quick, and then I guess we'll be done with this video. Seraphine bot is doing better than ever. Now, bot laners don't want to play Seraphine. She's too cutesy-ootsy. They don't want to play her, right? They're totally fine playing their Kai'Sa, Jinx, Caitlyn, Xayah, Vayne, Ashe, Samira, Misfortune. But for some reason, Seraphine is where they draw the line. They're like, no, that's too girly for me. And then they go back to playing their Kai'Sa and singing about their Kai'Sa peach ass, right? That's fine with them. They play Kai'Sa in her skin type bodysuit. They're happy with their life. If they play Seraphine, they're like, no, icky women. At any rate, my point here is that Seraphine bot is doing good. How good? Probably too good, in fact. By the way, this Tahm Kench win rate, if you're wondering, that's because you go Tahm Kench bot with Senna support, and shocking, it's overpowered again. Who knew? Not me. I knew. Okay. Anyway, Seraphine is just like blatantly over the top, and this isn't just like at the high ranks, even at the low ranks. Like, she's just too good. She's just too good. She's too good everywhere. I mean, this carries all the way into D2+, right? So this is not a coincidence. This is a consistent Seraphine bot has done too good. Evidently, buffing her early game and nerfing her late game tended to make her too good in bot lane, because now she's kind of bullying the bot laners out. She barely scales right now, but she's just really good at bullying the other bot laners out, which then just makes her snowball the game out and win. So they need to go through and they need to adjust this so that she's not bullying the shit out of bot laners. So now Riot is a bit of an issue here, because they need Seraphine to be good late game, so she doesn't just have all these early game stuff that she plays as an AD carry and then just beats the shit out of the other AD carries. But she also needs to be good enough early game that she can be played support, which I don't know what they're going to do at this point. Reasonably, all they can do is nerf the crap out of her AP ratios. They kind of have their work cut out for them, right? Because they need a champion right now who they need to nerf the crap out of their AP ratios, but they also need them to be good in the bot lane, because they don't want to just kill bot lane Seraphine, because they promised they wouldn't do that. What we might see here is Riot just killing bot lane Seraphine. They might just say screw it and obliterate bot lane Seraphine. That is definitely something. They have done stuff like this before, like when they killed top Kayn, they killed top Kench. They've killed a lot of champions in top, and they've killed some champions in bot. They literally reworked Urgot entirely to get him out of bot lane. So I suspect, this is just me, between me and you, chat, when we come back tomorrow, and you guys should come back tomorrow to watch that video, when we come back tomorrow, we might see that they're just killing Seraphine bot. We might see them just say, screw it, Seraphine bot is dead. So anyway, that's patch preview part 1, 13.22 patch preview part 1. Thank you for watching, and come back tomorrow. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave me your thoughts on any of this. Do you guys think they're just going to kill bot Seraphine? Personally, yeah, I suspect that's what we're about to see. So thank you all for watching, and as always, have a great rest of your day.